Hey everybody, Jon Foss, CW Twin Cities, and I'm excited because Forbes Riley is here, and I mean, your resume is insane. Actress, entrepreneur, podcast host, TV host, inventor. I'm leaving off, I could go on and on forever.
Mom, roller skater, belly dancer, I do all of those things.
How do you do it all?
Very well, thank you. How do you do it?
And not as well.
You know what, one, I've been around for a long time, and two, I love what I do. Why do you do what you do?
Well, I do it because I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that whole thing is you never get, you don't have to work a day in your life. I love being in front of people, and I have vast interests. I'm very curious. So I've done stage and theater and hosting, and I don't know, I just keep going. I feel blessed. And 181 infomercials.
Wow.
So sometimes maybe life happens for you, not to you. Mm-hmm. I don't know how all of this happened. All I know is I'm so grateful I'm still doing it.
And you're from Long Island, New York, and I guess maybe it helped that you grew up with your dad had an interesting career. He was a magician and inventor, is that right?
Yes, and I'll tell you what, he was a dreamer, and that was one of the things I preach to this day, dream it, believe it, achieve it. Mm-hmm. But I grew up with him saying it's magic everywhere. And he would always have this box of magic tricks, and he would show them to me, and luckily I would forget them, so he'd re-show them to me. And I started to believe that you could do magic anywhere. In fact, in business meetings, I will do a little bit of magic. And you know what people say when you do magic? They say, whoa, that's amazing. And so they leave thinking that I'm amazing. And that's been a very cool thing. But as an inventor, he never got any one of his products out to the world. And it was really sad. He died with an entire garage full of things that he tinkered with and things that he made, but that nobody really wanted. And I've actually made it my life's mission for a long time to help inventors, just like my dad, get their product out to the world.
Have you taken any of his inventions and tried to get them out there?
Oh, baby, and I show pictures every once in a while of like the Thinker Blinker, or he made a go-kart out of half a garbage can and a lawnmower engine. Those are not inventions that people should, actually use. So one of the things that I do preach and teach is that you have to, when you create an invention, it has to be something that everybody wants or needs. If you're not filling a need, you love it or your mom loves it, it's not going anywhere. And I will tell you, I take pitches all the time. I have a new TV series coming out called America's Real Deal with Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank. And we have been pitched the craziest of ideas. But I'll tell you one that I do like. There's a rash of school shootings, right? Mm-hmm. There's a guy who came out with a Kevlar notebook. And at first I was like, oh, but that makes sense. If somebody comes in, you can stop a bullet with this notebook. I'm like, oh, okay. Wow. But people think of the craziest things.
Yeah. Okay, so before all the businesses, entrepreneurial stuff in your life, you were an actress. And you got your debut with Bob Hope.
Okay, so yeah, wow, I don't know, we don't have a whole time.
TV debut?
You're so cute. I don't know if we have a whole hour and a half to do with the life of Forbes Riley, but yes, my dad had put his hand in a printing press, had a horrible accident. We had no money for college, which was very frustrating. And my mom says, hey, you know what, there was this pageant. And I was a very ugly little kid. I had a broken nose and frizzy hair and braces, and all of that got fixed. Like my dad's doctor fixed my nose, my braces came off, and I ended up becoming Miss Teenage New York in the Miss Teenage America Pageant. Of course, I was talking like this, but I just wanted a scholarship, and I ended up in Oklahoma with Bob Hope on NBC, and that was the start of it all. It was kind of weird.
Did you meet him?
Of course I met him.
What was he like?
You know what's crazy? I was so starstruck when I was little, and I have lots of pictures with him that I couldn't see him. I kept thinking, wow, that's like the guy on the TV. I did actually end up in a golf cart with him and Gerald Ford, though, when I got back to Long Island. And I will tell you, Bob was one of the nicest, down-to-earth, and very funny, generous guys that I've ever met. I can't say that about every celebrity I've ever met, but he was the real deal.
And you've been on 24 and a lot of other things. What sticks out as the most surreal TV show or movie that you've been a part of?
Well, I actually did my Broadway debut with Christopher Reeve.
Oh, wow.
And that was very tragic to watch his whole life unfold after that, because he was physically the most beautiful man I'd ever seen. He was statuesque, he was Superman with bright blue eyes and very sweet. But I managed to I just wanted to be an actress. I wanted to disappear into some character, and I'll tell you what, I've started movies. My first movie, and I know you're a big fan of Splatter University, right?
Oh yeah, my favorite.
Yeah, okay, well, don't kid yourself. It's actually on Facebook. We have our own fan page.
Is it kind of like a cult classic?
Yeah, it's a 30-year-old cult horror film classic, and I starred in my first audition. I got the lead in. Wow. But I never became Julia Roberts. I tried. You know what? She has my life. Now she has the twins. She's just copying me. And what happened was, many years ago, I moved from New York to LA, and I ended up hosting the Laugh Factory. I was the comedian who was not that funny, but I still managed. I got all of these crazy jobs, and you know why? Because I just believed I could. I've never had a real job or a real business resume. I never wanted one. And I just kept going. And one day I walked into this audition, and it was, sell me this pen. And I was like, oh. And I did. I said, you know what, my mom, when I was in college, used to write these longhand notes. And I kept all of them, and I realized a pen like this can touch your heart. Well, Jake of Body by Jake comes out and holds my face. Says, you're going to make me a lot of money. And I'm like, huh? That was the beginning, before QVC and HSN started, of selling products on television. And so if you go to Fit TV and Forbes Riley on YouTube, you can see me sell my first 1,500 fitness and wellness products on TV when cable had just started. In fact, I had a show on every cable network at some point, and you've never heard of any of them, because cable came and went very quickly. I did a dog game show on Animal Planet. I had a national talk show on TLC. I had a show on Discovery, and then this thing called Fit TV. By the way, Jake sold that network for $500 million to Fox. And I ended up getting into the world of infomercials and home shopping.
Well, there is one program that we've definitely heard of because we just finished covering the X Games, and you told me that you were responsible for that getting started.
That is the craziest of stories. Again, how did I do this? So I was, during the summertime, I would go off to Club Med. You know what a Club Med is? I know you have a new baby on the way. It's a great place for families to go vacation. It's an all-inclusive, and I spent 10 years on and off working for Club Med and going to the islands. The other side was the wintertime, and I did stand-up comedy at ski resorts. And I created a whole outdoor kind of athletic thing, like a 3-on-3 co-ed snow volleyball game. Well, ESPN came to make a half-hour special out of our event, and it was a big event. And one day I just got a call out of the blue in 1995, says, we'd like you to host the X Games. We'd like to offer you a lot of money, and it's a 2-week thing with Stuart Scott. And I don't know anything about sports. My dad was not a sports guy at all. And I was like, what? And sure enough, it was the legitimate. We were at Fort Adams in Providence, Rhode Island. No one had ever heard of us. We were doing sky surfing, street luge, bungee jumping, half pipe, BMX bike. I didn't know any of the athletes, but nobody knew any of the athletes. And my first live broadcast, I can remember in my head, I was so scared, and it worked. And every year they kept hiring me back, and obviously I watched it become this amazing thing, and I was there day one. You know, there's a bit of trivia about day one, though.
What's that?
We included a thing called the Eco Challenge, and there was a little producer named Mark Burnett who created the Eco Challenge, which then became Survivor.
Yeah, he's done a couple things since then.
But he was out there sweating with the rest of us out in Providence, Rhode Island, Fort Adams, in 1995.
Very cool. So how does this TV and film and Broadway background turn into the successful businesswoman that you are today?
You know what? Number one, getting to watch a lot of other people make mistakes has been very valuable, because you only see the good stuff. When you can see the bad stuff and you start to know what not to do. So crazy enough, one of the things I learned was about branding. I had the lead in a TV series called Fashion House on Fox, and that was the ultimate dream for me. I played the lead in this kind of a lot of cute young models, and I was the Devil Wears Prada, shall we say. And I loved it, and it was great. We shot the pilot. It cleared the entire country getting ready to film it, and I get a call from Fox saying, hey, your name is not famous enough to launch this series. We're going to replace you with Bo Derek. Well, I guess on some level that would be a compliment, and on another level, she's not really an actress. And I said, well, great, I'm going to get like the second part. And they said, no, that's going to Morgan Fairchild. Thank you so much. And my agent called me in the next day, and this is the thing that I preach now, that life really does happen for you. Because if I hadn't taken this turn, I wouldn't be here. But he said, look, we love you, you're very talented, but you don't have a failed TV series. You're not, and you have all these auditions like Kim Cattrall and Mary Louise Parker, and they all get these roles that you wanted, and you get nothing. I'm like, well, she said, well, you can struggle your whole life, or you could brand yourself. And if you still want to act, make enough money and buy your own movie. I had no idea what that meant. But at that time, HSN said, hey, come on, let's do some fitness and see if we can brand you. And at that time, I didn't know what personal branding was. And in fact, we're going to talk about the book that I created, because you discovering your brand is the absolute secret to all your happiness in life. No matter what, if you're a brand in your family, you're a brand in your company. And I did that. And then I had to find some product. And luckily, or unluckily, I was doing an exercise thing with a resistance band. It slips off my foot and shatters my nose.
Wow.
That would be a really bad thing, unfortunately. But fortunately, 2 days later, I had an audition and got a national talk show. Unfortunately, that didn't go very long. But fortunately, I said, hey, I'm going to find a product that will make my life better. And lo and behold, I created this. And you go, wow, what is this? I have to be really clear with you. I didn't invent this. This was invented by the Chinese 2,000 years ago. Go to any third world country and it's a little button on a string. And it goes, woo, woo, woo. Well, a guy in London had created something like this and let me try it. And I thought, oh my God, this is the greatest fitness product ever. And he says, no, it's not a fitness product. It's an office de-stressor. We just use it in the office to de-stress. I'm like, no, you can do sit-ups and abs. He's like, no, we don't do that. But you're Forbes Riley. And I'm happy to give this to you if you can sell 25,000 in the first year and give me a small percentage. Now, all of a sudden, I went from being an actress and somebody people hired going, I have an opportunity here. And I took all my knowledge being a dancer and a Pilates instructor, and I put it all into this, came up with exercises, and then I gave it to a girlfriend of mine at Christmas that year, and she said, "That's nice, but I would never use it." So have you ever had a chance where you've been disappointed and you just gave up? Well, I wasn't smart enough to give up. I kept going. And the crazy thing about that was I got picked up by a reality show called Pitchmen with Billy Mays, and I got to work with them for 5 months as I developed my entire program. And I thought, this is my big break, right? Except at the end of it, they said, this will never work. They made me cry on national television and told me to go home. I woke up the next morning, and this was the turning point in my life. And I will tell you, every great entrepreneur, every great artist has a moment where they make a decision. And it's to literally burn the boats and say, you know what, I'm going to go for this. I'm going to push all my chips, and there's no plan B. You know, I was going to be a musician, and I want to be a lawyer. No, no, no. Guess what? I'm just going to do this. And I devoted all my time and energy, all my resources. I mortgaged my house, my kids' education fund, and I said, I'm going to sell SpinGyms. And my partner said, well, no one thinks you can do it. I said, they're wrong. He said, they can't be all wrong. And I said, I think they are. I said, I think for the first time in my life, I understand that women, when they take off their, in fact, I'll do this for you. When a woman takes off her jacket, and Michelle Obama had just gotten into office, you know, and everyone was talking about what with Michelle? Her arms. Yeah. We were fixated on her arms. I thought, oh my gosh, that's the idea. What you do here is you get these, I won't do it in your camera, you get amazing, sexy, toned arms. I have to tell you, women went nuts. But then it started to work your abs, you dance with it, and all of a sudden now, 8 years later, I've sold 2 million of these. Wow. And nobody thought I could.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So you're still acting and keeping busy with that?
Oh, let me tell you something. I don't do it nearly enough. I play a demon in a new TV series for Amazon called Transcend. I love to act. I think it's amazing. But if you're not going to be Julie Roberts, it doesn't pay a lot. And one of the things I discovered as an entrepreneur is I like making money. And I now teach other people how to do that because money's nice. There's nothing fun about being a struggling artist. I think for me, and oh, wait, I have a new book here to that point. Yeah. I don't think you should be a struggling artist. I took the word business in show business very seriously. So one of the things that I have coming out in 2 weeks is one of my very first books.
Very cool.
I'm excited about it. And the truth is this one talks about your fast track to stardom using the digital age. What does that mean? Well, there was no YouTube when you and I were starting our careers. There was no social media. Nowadays, I've got kids who've got 20 million views on something. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you can be a star. You don't have to wait. In my day, you had to wait for somebody to give you a shot. I teach you in here how, one, to brand yourself, to understand what type you are. You know, when I said earlier that I'm kind of that Devil Wears Prada woman, that's my type. I'm not going to be playing a little wallflower. I'm not going to play like a Sissy Spacek kind of role. You play what you play. And you know who's really famous? People who play themselves. What does Julie Roberts do, or George Clooney, or Mel Gibson? They play themselves over and over again, and we love them, don't we? Yeah. Yeah, because they figured out their brand. And when you do that, even if you're in a business, whatever it happens to be, you win.
What do you have, what's going on now in your life?
Wow. One, I found a very special gift that I have, and I created a course around it called the Forbes Factor. I do a thing called the Forbes Factor live in my studio. I own a beautiful television studio in St. Pete, Florida. And I take people who are stuck, because I can kind of get from people, I don't know why, very Tony Robbins-ish. And if you've got something within about 30 minutes, I can unstick you. The traumas that I've dealt with, the reason I can talk about what happened to me is because I do my techniques on me. Otherwise, you'll talk to somebody who's had loved ones killed or suicide, and they can't function. And every time it gets to that point, it's Mother's Day, it's Father's Day, that trigger, they melt down and they disappear. Why do you think 22 soldiers a day in this country commit suicide? It's because no one's helped them get through those traumas. So I've taken all the skills that I've got, whether it's the acting or the training or the improv and the intuition, and I've melded into something that says, you know what, I can make a difference here. And I've watched my dear friend Tony Robbins do what he does. There's no woman who's ever come close to the work that he does, and that's what I'm doing. So I'm touring around the country, doing Forbes Factor Live, and you can go to that.com and register anywhere. It is an amazing 3-day course that I don't see anyone else teaching. I took something similar many years ago that allowed me to imagine if you weren't stuck all the time. Imagine if that little voice in your head wasn't telling you what to do, or that you're not good enough, or you don't deserve this. So I think that's probably the most beautiful, profound work that I will ever do on this planet. If you look at me on social media, if you go to any of the Forbes Riley Facebook things, you'll see every day somebody saying, Forbes, you inspired me, you motivated me, and thank you. And so I want to thank the guys as an actor who took away my part, because otherwise I would just be acting, and it's a very selfish, wonderful world. They treat you great, they let you go to movie premieres, and they go, oh my God, you're amazing. Instead, I found, I think, what I'm on this planet to do, and that's change people's lives and get them to stop suffering.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right.
I know.
Well,
Crazy.
Forbes, thank you so much.
You're
Appreciate it.
awesome.
Pleasure talking to you. Forbes Riley.
Wait,
She's
him.
at
Hey.
Forbes Riley on social media.
Give me your thumbs. Come here. Yeah, come
All
here.
right.
Okay, wait, 'cause this
Gotta
is
get
how
my
I leave
workout in
every,
here.
yeah. Because we're
Here
going
we
to put
go.
a new spin on your life. Go.
That's right.
All right, now, right here. A little frustration. Put that in your hand here and punch. Come on, punch. Let's go, baby, go. That's how I like to end an interview.
All right.